It is, it's a really fascinating time to be working in business right now
Yeah.
because we're all facing this very specific modern dilemma.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere.
Right. So imagine for a second that you decide to hire like the most brilliant, fast-working business consultant on the planet. I
Yeah.
mean, this person can process millions of data points in seconds.
And they spot trends that literally nobody else sees.
Exactly. They give you incredible strategic advice.
Mhm.
But there is a massive catch. To get their advice, you have to hand over your company's most secret, sensitive financial books.
Yeah, the real proprietary stuff.
Yeah. And you know for a fact that this brilliant consultant might just accidentally tweet those secrets out to the entire internet.
It is the ultimate double-edged sword. I mean, you desperately want the insights, obviously, but the risk of exposure is terrifying.
Totally terrifying.
Especially when we're talking about, deeply proprietary organizational data.
Well, welcome to the deep dive, because today our mission is solving exactly that dilemma for you. We are figuring out how businesses can safely use these incredibly smart AI models on their most valuable, sensitive data without basically turning it into public knowledge.
Which is the goal for pretty much every enterprise right now.
Right. And we are pulling all of this from a really insightful piece by Janaka Yapa. He's an Oracle ACE Pro, and he recently published an article titled Custom AI Agents for Business, a secure approach with Oracle Private Agent Factory.
And Yapa brings a really vital perspective here, primarily because he openly admits he used to be a skeptic.
Wait, really? A skeptic about AI?
Yeah, he was wary of hallucinations, the tendency for these models to just confidently invent facts out of thin air.
Oh, right, the classic confidently wrong AI answer.
Exactly. But after rigorously testing models like Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude, he actually changed his mind. He realized the AI is ready. But as he points out, we've reached this critical juncture where data is now quite literally worth more than gold.
Right, the data is the real treasure.
The competitive edge isn't just about using AI anymore because everyone is doing that. The real edge is securely embedding your specific business-sensitive data into it.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we all know these public models are getting amazingly good, but uploading internal company spreadsheets to a public interface is just a massive security minefield.
Oh, it's a nightmare. The consequences of that data leakage can be devastating for a company's future.
So how do we get the benefits of AI safely? This leads directly to Yapa's core solution, which centers around something called the Oracle Private Agent Factory, or OPAF.
Right. If you cannot bring your sensitive data out to the public AI, the logical inverse is that you have to bring the AI securely into your data's environment.
So it's like a fortress.
Yeah, OPAF essentially creates a walled garden. It provides a governed environment that allows businesses to connect LLMs directly to their data, ensuring that the data never leaves Oracle's dedicated AI data centers.
It just stays entirely locked down within that enterprise perimeter.
Exactly. It doesn't leak out to train some public model.
Reading through Yapa's piece, there was a surprisingly candid point he made. He literally wrote, Oracle was a little late to the cloud space, but it's now making great strides in the AI space.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it.
He really doesn't.
Yeah.
But that actually made me wonder about accessibility. I mean, Oracle built this incredibly safe vault for data. But usually when you hear highly secure AI environment, that translates to, you need a PhD in machine learning to even turn the thing on.
Right. It's usually incredibly complex.
Yeah. So I have to push back here. Is this just a playground for elite AI engineers, or can standard regular data folks actually use this?
What's fascinating here is that Oracle seems to have recognized that exact barrier and engineered right around it. OPF is not restricted to elite engineers writing, thousands of lines of Python.
Oh, really? So how do you build in it?
It actually utilizes a highly intuitive drag-and-drop interface.
Drag and drop for building AI agents.
Yes. It completely democratizes the creation of these custom AI agents. It means your standard BI engineer.
The business intelligence teams.
Right. The people who actually understand the nuances and the business context of the data, they are the ones empowered to build the agents tailored specifically to it.
Man, that feels like a massive shift in how organizations handle data requests. Historically, if an executive has a complex question, they have to submit a ticket to the BI team.
And wait.
And wait for someone to write custom SQL queries, build a dashboard, interpret the results. I mean, it takes days.
It creates a massive bottleneck because the people asking the questions rarely know how to query the database themselves.
Right.
And the people querying the database often lack the broader strategic context of why the question is being asked in the first place. Giving BI teams a drag-and-drop tool to build natural language agents essentially removes that friction entirely.
To prove this isn't just theoretical marketing jargon, Yappa walks through a really concrete example in the article. And he didn't pick some clean, easy, static data set either,
No, he chose the Toronto housing market.
which he notes is constantly fluctuating and highly volatile. He built a data analysis agent from scratch to generate insights from it.
And using real estate data is the perfect stress test. It is notoriously messy. You're dealing with temporal changes, overlapping neighborhood delineations.
Wildly varying price points.
Exactly. And the questions people ask about it are highly subjective. It pushes an analytical tool to its absolute limits.
Instead of just listing the steps he took to build this, let's actually deconstruct the architecture. Because the way he lays it out in OPAF is surprisingly elegant.
It really is. It operates on a 5-step flow.
Right, starting with the chat input. This is just the user entry point, where you type a plain English question, something like, what is the average house price by city?
Just a completely natural language request. But what happens next is where the governance really kicks in. Step 2 is the SQL query block.
Okay, so what does that do?
Instead of the AI trying to guess the answer or hallucinate, this block connects to the Toronto housing database and executes a controlled, read-only SQL query to pull the exact structured data needed.
And focusing on that read-only aspect is crucial, right?
Very. The agent is granted permission to look at the data to gather context, but it physically cannot drop a table, it can't delete records, or accidentally corrupt the company's core database.
So it can look, but it can't touch.
Security by design. Once that structured data is pulled, we hit step 3, which is the prompt block. This acts as the command center.
Right.
It takes the user's original question and stitches it together with the raw data retrieved from the SQL query. Then it passes that combined package to step 4, the agent block.
And that's where the LLM lives. I think in Yappa's diagram, he uses GPT-120B to process the information.
Correct. And finally, step 5 is the chat output, delivering a clean, human-readable answer.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. Looking at how those 5 steps interact, it feels less like an assembly line and much more like a strict courtroom.
A courtroom. Okay, walk me through that.
Think about it. You, the user, are the judge asking a specific question. The database is the evidence locker.
Okay, I'm with you.
The prompt block acts like a highly strict bailiff. It goes to the evidence locker, pulls only the relevant files, and hands them to the AI, who is acting as the expert witness.
Right.
And the bailiff tells the witness, you can only testify based on the documents in this specific folder. Do not bring in outside rumors. Do not guess. Just read what is here. And then the AI gives its testimony back to the judge.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it, because it perfectly captures the concept of governance. The AI isn't allowed to roam free through the archives. It is explicitly confined to the evidence presented.
Yeah, it has strict boundaries.
And that analogy leads us perfectly into the mechanics of that 3rd step, the prompt block, which Yappa refers to as the intelligence layer.
Which addresses the elephant in the room. If the AI, that expert witness, is the one generating the final answer, how do we actually stop it from getting overly creative?
Right, because we know these models love to confidently make up numbers when they aren't completely sure.
Exactly. If I am asking for internal revenue projections, I don't want a creative estimate.
The intelligence layer tames the AI using something called dynamic input injection.
Dynamic input injection.
Okay. Yeah. In the prompt template, there are specific placeholders, like a bracketed query tag for the user's question and a bracketed data tag for the SQL result. The AI is strictly fed only the real retrieved data.
So it literally only sees the facts.
Yes. But they go a step further. The prompt acts as that strict bailiff you mentioned by giving explicit hard-coded commands. Do not make up data.
Just flat out telling it not to lie.
Exactly. And it also provides a vital fallback plan. It tells it, if no results are found, say no data found.
Well, that makes sense. You have to give the AI permission to admit ignorance. Otherwise, its core programming will just force it to invent an answer just to fulfill the user's request.
Furthermore, Yappa notes a very specific technical setting that locks this behavior in. The agent is set to a temperature of 0.01.
I saw that in the article. Is setting the temperature that low basically like giving the AI a cup of decaf coffee? Like just completely suppressing its manic creative energy so it stays grounded?
The decaf coffee analogy is perfectly accurate. In AI architecture, temperature controls the randomness and creativity of the model's token prediction.
Okay, so a higher temperature means what?
A higher temperature, closer to 1, makes the model highly creative, unpredictable, and willing to take massive leaps of logic.
Which is fantastic if you wanted to write a science fiction story.
But it is catastrophic if you wanted to audit a financial spreadsheet.
Right.
By turning the temperature all the way down to 0.01, you force the model to be entirely deterministic. It will ruthlessly prioritize accuracy, giving you the most statistically probable factual answer every single time.
I buy the decaf logic for keeping it factual. But I have to push back on the utility of this.
Go for it.
If we constrain this AI so tightly, like locking it in a room, giving it strict rules, and turning its creativity down to basically zero can an AI, this restricted, actually do complex analytical work?
That's a fair question.
Or have we just built an overly complicated, highly expensive calculator that just spits out simple averages?
A completely valid concern, and Yapa actively anticipates that skepticism. He didn't just ask the agent for simple averages to prove it worked.
What did he ask it?
He intentionally stress-tested this highly restricted agent with a multi-layered analytical question. He asked it, using a 3-month rolling window, what are the sales volume trends for Toronto, and when does the rolling average reach its highest point?
Whoa. That is significantly more complex than simply adding a column of numbers together.
Immensely more complex. To answer that, the agent has to fundamentally understand time-based analysis. It has to isolate specific dates, accurately calculate a rolling average across moving data points.
Right, because the window keeps shifting.
Exactly. And then scan those moving averages to identify trends and pinpoint the absolute highest peak within that specific shifting window.
And did it work?
The OPAF agent executed it flawlessly.
Oh, wow. Which proves that even when you strictly confine an LLM to prevent hallucinations, you don't strip away its computational reasoning power.
Not at all.
It can execute complex trend analysis far beyond simple arithmetic, all while staying entirely within the secure guardrails of your private enterprise data.
It demonstrates that the reasoning engine of the AI remains intact even when its creative engine is shut down.
Yeah.
But knowing the AI can perfectly calculate a complex rolling average brings up a dangerous logistical issue.
Which is?
Calculating that rolling average isn't free.
Yes. Which brings us to the reality check of implementing generative AI. We need to talk about the cost and the sheer elbow grease required here, because enterprise software always comes with a catch.
Always. And Yapa is very transparent about the financial realities. If you are used to traditional cloud computing, you're accustomed to paying for VMs, virtual machines.
Right, you rent a server, pay a predictable flat monthly fee, and it just runs quietly in the background 24/7.
That economic model does not apply here.
Yapa references an entirely different paradigm based on tokens, pointing to another resource called AITCO, the math of Gen AI, to explain it. You basically pay based on how much data you process and how much text the AI generates in response.
Right, and we have to understand why that shift exists. Traditional software runs on continuous, relatively low-level compute power. Generative AI inference requires massive, instantaneous spikes of compute power using highly expensive GPUs.
Which are not cheap.
Not at all. Renting those GPUs continuously would be financially ruinous for most companies. Therefore, the industry shifted to consumption-based token pricing. Every word inputted, every piece of database evidence analyzed, and every word generated costs a fraction of a cent.
So what does this all mean for a company's bottom line? Trading a predictable monthly server bill for a paper-word token model sounds like a potential budget nightmare.
It definitely can be if you aren't careful.
Let's say a BI engineer builds an amazing custom agent for the sales team, and it just goes viral internally. Suddenly you have thousands of employees asking him massive, complex data questions every hour, requiring massive GPU spikes.
The token costs would absolutely explode.
Exactly. So how do businesses prepare for that?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this exact financial volatility is why Yapa heavily emphasizes strategy over just blindly adopting the technology. You cannot simply build an agent and let it run wild across the organization.
You need a plan.
He stresses that you must be crystal clear on what you want to achieve before you start building. You have to design the right agent for a highly specific goal, and crucially, you have to pair it with the appropriate LLM.
Meaning, you shouldn't use a massive, highly expensive model like GPT-120B just to answer straightforward HR policy questions when a smaller, cheaper model could do the job perfectly well.
Precisely. You optimize the model for the task to ruthlessly control the token spend. And this strategic requirement ties directly into the second reality check Yapa outlines, the effort involved.
Right, because it's not magic.
The drag-and-drop interface makes the actual construction easier, but building these custom agents is not an instant, out-of-the-box fix. It requires serious elbow grease.
You have to spend real time running your specific internal data through different models to see how they handle it.
Yes.
You have to constantly tweak the prompts, adjust the temperature, and refine the agent's logic until the output consistently meets your internal quality standards.
Iteration and patience are mandatory. AI speeds up the extraction of insights, but only if the human foundation is built correctly. As Yapa bluntly states, there are no easy shortcuts here, and that's the point. The true business value comes from the hard work of customizing the architecture to your unique environment.
Whether you are prepping for a massive strategic meeting next week, evaluating new tech infrastructure for your company, or just trying to survive the daily avalanche of information overload, understanding this shift gives you a massive conceptual edge.
It really does change the game.
We are moving far past the phase of just being amazed that a public AI can write a polite email. The true future of business intelligence lies in secure, highly customized AI agents working exclusively on private data.
And doing it safely.
Right. Knowing how these walled gardens operate and understanding how natural language now connects directly to databases without risking exposure, well, it changes how you approach problem solving in any room you walk into. Yapa closes his article with a powerful thought. The future belongs to those who know their data and build smart enough to use it.
This raises an important question, though, and it is something worth lingering on as we wrap up.
Okay, what's that?
Yapa rightly points out that custom agents built on secure platforms like Oracle Private Agent Factory are going to get more accurate and efficient over time. They will eventually find insights faster and more reliably than any human analyst ever could.
For sure.
But let's project this forward. If every major company in your industry eventually adopts these secure platforms and they all have flawless AI perfectly analyzing their clean private data,
Right.
What does the competitive advantage of simply possessing that data start to disappear?
Oh, wow. That is a wild thought. If the AI completely levels the playing field for data analysis across an entire industry.
Exactly. In a world where everyone's custom AI can perfectly read and perfectly synthesize their internal data, the ultimate business advantage shifts entirely away from the data itself.
So what does it shift to?
The real edge shifts back to human curiosity, specifically the humans who know how to ask the AI the most creative, unprecedented, and deeply strategic questions.
Man, it all comes full circle. We started by talking about the fear of handing your secret financial books over to that brilliant consultant. But once you finally lock that consultant in a secure vault where they can't leak anything, their brilliance is only as good as the questions you ask them through the door.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the information around you, keep looking for those new angles, and we will catch you next time.